Imagine getting a call that your car needs a part replaced, and the only place allowed to sell you that part is one single company, at whatever price they decide to charge. For years, that has been closer to reality than most Americans realized. And this week, Donald Trump signed an executive action that could change it. On June 29, 2026, Trump signed what the White House is calling the Freedom to Fix Memorandum. On the surface, this sounds technical, but the goal is simple. Make it cheaper and easier for regular people to repair their own cars. To understand why this matters, you have to go back to how car repair actually works today. Automakers and a small number of certified suppliers have increasingly controlled which parts can legally be used to fix a vehicle, especially anything connected to emission systems. If you wanted to use a cheaper aftermarket part instead of the manufacturer's version, you often couldn't, because federal environmental rules required a special certification process run almost exclusively through the California Air Resources Board. That certification could take over a year to get approved, even when everything was filled out correctly. The result was a bottleneck: fewer certified parts, less competition, and higher prices for consumers who just wanted their car fixed. Trump's new order takes direct aim at that bottleneck. It directs the Environmental Protection Agency to speed up approval for organizations that want to test and certify aftermarket parts, so the process isn't stuck depending on a single state agency. It also tells the EPA to ease up on civil enforcement against everyday people who are simply trying to repair or restore their own vehicle to its original condition, rather than treating them the same as large-scale violators. In plain terms, the order is trying to open the door to more competition in the auto parts market and take some of the legal risk off individual car owners who just want to fix what they already own. This didn't come out of nowhere either. According to reporting from the Oval Office signing, Trump said the idea came to him after learning about people who had faced legal trouble simply for repairing their own vehicles, and he called that not even believable. He signed a similar directive back in February for farmers repairing agricultural equipment, so this fits into a broader pattern of the administration pushing what it's branding as right-to-repair policy across different industries. It's also not happening in isolation. This same week, the administration has been rolling back Biden-era fuel economy standards, the CAFE rules that required automakers to hit increasingly strict mileage targets, partly by factoring in electric vehicle production. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has argued those standards forced manufacturers to build cars using more expensive technology than the market actually wanted, driving up sticker prices in the process. The administration is projecting the rollback could save consumers somewhere around $1,000 off the price of an average new car. So you're seeing two moves at once: cheaper repairs on the used side and a push toward lower manufacturing costs on the new car side. Now, who actually benefits from this? Independent repair shops and aftermarket parts manufacturers are clear winners here. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation, which represents a large chunk of the auto industry, has pointed out that around 75% of repairs happening after a car's warranty expires are already done at independent shops, not dealerships. Making aftermarket parts easier to certify plays directly into that reality. Everyday car owners, especially anyone who does their own maintenance or relies on independent mechanics, stand to save money too, since more competition in the parts market usually pushes prices down. But it's not a win for everyone, and it's worth being honest about that. The National Automobile Dealers Association has pushed back, raising concerns that easing certification requirements could open the door to what they're calling reverse-engineered knockoff parts. Essentially copies that might not meet the same quality or safety standards as the originals. There's also a quieter concern from insurance companies, since cheaper aftermarket parts sometimes affect how claims and repairs get handled after an accident. And on the environmental side, critics of both this move and the CAFE rollback argue that loosening emissions-related certification, even with good intentions around cost, risks weakening pollution controls that took years to build up. So where does this actually go from here? Right now, this is a presidential memorandum directing agencies to act, not a finished regulation. The EPA still has to issue actual guidance on what aftermarket parts qualify and how enforcement priorities shift in practice. That process can take months, and depending on how it's written, it could easily face legal challenges from either side, environmental groups worried about weakened standards, or industry groups worried about safety and liability. The CAFE rollback is on a similar track, still working through the regulatory process rather than being locked in permanently. Here's my honest take on all of this. I think there's something genuinely reasonable at the core of right to repair in any industry. If you own something, you should have a real, affordable path to fix it yourself or through a shop you trust, without a single company or a slow-moving certification process being the only gatekeeper. That part isn't really a partisan idea, and you'll find people across the political spectrum who agree with it. Where I think the real debate lives is in the execution. Speeding up certification is good for competition and good for your wallet, but it only stays good if the quality and safety bar for those aftermarket parts actually holds up. That's the detail worth watching over the next few months, not the headline itself. If this ends up being implemented carefully, it could genuinely lower the cost of keeping a car on the road for millions of people. If it's rushed, it could create real safety and environmental questions down the line. Either way, this is one of those policies that sounds small on paper, but touches almost every car owner in the country eventually. What do you think? Is this a genuine win for consumers, or are the concerns about quality and safety worth taking more seriously? Let me know in the comments.